Hello and welcome to a special weekend film. This week, as we teased a few videos ago, I, Zoe, got to pick the movies we watched. And, Peter had some complications, so we didn't watch as many movies. It's just 5 today. But
Yeah.
thanks for watching the last video. We both appreciate it. And on to the first movie for
Wow, that was quick.
Monday. So what? We gotta
No,
get a move on.
I'm just commenting on it. Go ahead, Zoe.
It's Zoe to you.
I can call you Zoe for short.
No,
Just like how you can call me Pete.
I'm not calling you Pete.
Well, okay. Since I was the only one who actually watched this movie, I think I'll go.
Well, I watched this just a while ago.
You've seen it, but I was the one who watched it this week.
Sure.
On the 19th of August, which lands on a Sunday.
Monday?
It says on
You're
my
wrong.
calendar. It says on my calendar. Oh, right. Yeah, it was on the 19th, which is a Monday, of August 2024. I watched Red Eye, starring Cillian Murphy and the chick from The Notebook.
Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, there you go. So, why did you pick this movie for me to watch this week?
Well, I knew I wasn't gonna be home on Monday, so I needed a solid movie that I thought you would like.
Mhm.
And on this day is actually the anniversary of this movie releasing. So I thought it was perfect for you to watch Red Eye, because I loved it.
Yeah, so prior to Zoe's recommendation of Red Eye, I hadn't heard much about it. All I really knew about it was that it wasn't exactly Cillian Murphy's breakout role, but it was definitely one of his first really big ones. I think. I don't know, that could just not even be true. But Cillian Murphy is an actor I really respect and that I really like. And it was nice to see him in a role like this because when you think of Cillian Murphy, you think of probably Oppenheimer or anything Chris Nolan, really. And it was nice to see him in a more normal role. He wasn't playing a character. Well, he was playing a character, obviously. But he wasn't playing a pre-established character. He was just playing a basically nameless assassin guy. And I think there are a lot of little unique, interesting things about Red Eye that make it as great as it is. And a lot of that is thanks to Cillian and his blindingly blue eyes. But why did you even watch Red Eye all those years ago, Zoe?
It was like a couple months ago, but I actually don't know. I think I was either going through Killian's or Rachel McAdams filmography.
Does it
And I
have
saw
anything
this
to
one.
do? Does it have anything to do with your love for The Notebook?
Absolutely. I love both the main actors. So I was like, I'll give this movie a try. And I had some friends who'd watched it recently. Not friends, but people I follow,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, maybe I'll try this one out. And I'm very glad I did because I loved it.
So, do you remember exactly when you watched it? How long ago it was exactly?
It was June 4th, 2024.
June
Like 2
4th.
months ago.
So, yeah, a couple months ago. What do you remember most from that viewing?
How intense it felt.
Mm.
I just felt so much pressure on my chest. And you could tell that Lisa, the main girl, really can't escape because she's stuck on that plane with him.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson is his name.
Ah.
I didn't think the short length of the movie was gonna kind of ruin it and it wouldn't be played out fully. But I think the length makes it even better. It's a short movie. It gets everything it needs.
It feels urgent, like the story is.
Yeah, it gets all the good aspects and it doesn't linger on longer than it should. Maybe a little, but
yeah, a little bit maybe.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, since I actually watched it recently and I can remember specific scenes and stuff.
I do as well.
Yeah, of course, but I've just seen it more recently. So little random things are gonna stick out to me. One of my favorite things about this movie was how it feels like a game of cat and mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Especially towards the last like 30 to 40 minutes of the movie, when Rachel McAdams is her name, right?
Her character's name is Lisa, but yes, Rachel
Yeah.
McAdams.
When Rachel McAdams is finally on a fair playing ground with Cillian
Mm-hmm.
Murphy, it's really nice to see them kind of battle with their wits and like physically battle,
Mm-hmm.
especially through the house near the ending, and the setting of the film, with a majority of it taking place on a plane, is incredible. It sounds so simple, like, oh, just put the movie in a plane, but
Mm-hmm.
it's delivered on so well. A lot of the film is shot really uncomfortably and really close
Mm-hmm.
up,
Yeah.
like right on either Killian or um, Rachel's face.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you really see like the sweat dripping down their noses and all their pores, and especially Cillian Murphy's almost comedically bright blue eyes. um it adds a really intense vibe. I hate using that word, but it's a really intense atmosphere to the movie because everything is so close, and the constant threat of, I guess it's kind of a spoiler, but the threat of her father being killed if she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't follow through with this plot really makes it feel kind of hopeless for a while.
Yeah.
um Especially when she does actually make the call, it feels like the movie should be kind of over after that. No, go ahead, Zoe.
I was gonna say on the like, close-up shots, I remember when they were in
Hmm.
the bathroom, and she's like, or he's
Ah,
like covering her mouth. That scene really, really got me. Like my heart was beating so fast. I was so stressed out.
when he's attacking her in the bathroom and the flight attendant thinks they're having
They're
sex
having
in the
sex.
bathroom.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And she's like, you should be ashamed of yourself, to Killian. It's the little character interactions that really make this movie as good as it is, because an airplane is by no means a private setting. You know,
Yeah.
there are some odd 90, maybe not that many, but a lot of other people in that airplane. So it's really hard to just overtly hit or hurt each other.
Hmm.
Um, and the film does a really good job at kind of sucker punching you, in a sense that you meet Cillian Murphy's character very early on, and unless you've looked at the casting list or read the description of the movie, you really wouldn't have any idea that Cillian Murphy was about to put poor Rachel McAdams through hell.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
He's a really nice guy. Like at the bar, they're just chatting it up, and he's like, "Wow, you're my hero." At the bag check line, and it's all these little moments where you're like, "Huh, maybe this Killian guy isn't so bad." And then
It almost made me wonder if it was gonna be a romance at first.
hmm it seems like a very not generic, but uh like like a setup for a romance film. You know, it's like, oh,
Hmm.
they meet on the plane, destined
Like
lovers
a
meet on
meet
the plane.
cute. Yeah.
And I mean, the only other thing that really stood out to me in the film, I mean, other than the plane, it's shot pretty standardly. The acting is very good from Rachel McAdams and Cillian Murphy.
Hmm.
The score is kind of generic, but I remember it being pretty intense. I
Yeah.
don't remember. I don't remember if it was a soundtrack or if it was like an iPod playlist, but I want to say it was a soundtrack. And what I really remember is the assassination on the senator, or the foreign defense guy, or whoever, whatever he was,
Hmm.
where they pull a rocket launcher out of the ocean to from like at least 4 miles away on a
Oh
boat,
yeah.
shoot the missile into his hotel room.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of expecting like a sniper assassination the whole time, kind of standard. But to see the guy pull out this big ass missile launcher from the ocean was like kind of awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
I think it's cool how practical Cillian Murphy is in this film as well, especially towards the end. His battle with Rachel McAdams and the constant like smashing over things and flipping over tables and getting hit in the
Hmm.
head. It feels very intense. It feels very like
Yeah.
he's actually hurt. He's not invincible. He's just a dude who kind of knows what he's doing. I don't really have many more thoughts on the movie. Do you have anything to say, Zoe?
It was just a really well done, suspense-filled movie. I liked it.
I
I
agree.
gave it a
Mhm.
9 out of 10.
I gave it a 7. And before we get into the next film, I will read my book review. I wrote, and I quote, "Didn't think I'd enjoy this movie so much. It's going to be a weird comparison to make, but in the same way, Hitman, that being the Glenn Powell Hitman, was easy, light entertainment, this film is too. The way super young Cillian Murphy acts with Rachel McAdams is so evil and villainous, but the way Cillian plays him almost makes you like him. The game of cat and mouse near the end, and the way it's all done. It feels so cheesy and cheap, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a blast watching. Only real problem being the characters outside of Murphy and McAdams feel really one-noted and none of them act as more than one-note beings. It's short. Wait. It's shot. Sorry, guys. It's shot close on the plane. I saw it close up on the plane, which I like, and the corny ending. It's fun, easy. It's a fun, easy to watch film, which I love. Yeah, it's a 7 out of 10.
Solid review.
Yeah, I do think that the characters were kind of underwhelming though. A lot of them are set up in the a lot of them are set up in the airport and they end up doing basically one thing and then being completely worthless in the plot. Especially the old lady. I thought she was going to do a
Yeah.
bit more. But otherwise, I mean, it's written pretty well and it's just a fun time to watch.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't have anything else to say. Is that it for you too, Zoe?
Yep.
On to the next movie then. On the same day, Zoe and I watched. Would you like to say it, Zoe?
The Princess and the Frog.
So
Um,
again, I'm gonna ask, why'd you pick this one, Zoe?
well, the reason why I was gone this day was because I was at Disneyland,
Ah,
and obviously, like the new attraction is the Tiana's
Bayou Ride or whatever
Bayou,
it's called.
as well as the restaurant. So
Tiana's
obviously it was
Place.
on my mind,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, huh, you have been wanting to watch this for a while, and we've talked about this in the past. I was like, huh, maybe it's a good time to finally have Peter watch this movie.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch it for a while. I know it's kind of Disney's last traditional 2D animated film, and a lot of people hold it to really high standards or
Mhm.
think of it very highly. Why do you like this movie so much? I almost called you Tiana. Zoe.
I think just growing up loving cooking and
Mm-hmm.
having that female figure who does struggle, but in the end gets her dream.
She's okay.
And then like having the romance that she's not particularly interested in, but then she slowly falls in love. It's just so admirable. And obviously the music is great. I love the music. I'm always humming it in my head. And I mean, I did cry for like the last 20 minutes of this movie.
Yes,
I
I
love
remember that.
I love when movies make me emotional.
I also remember one thing that stood out to me about the movie was how the romance, I mean, I don't know if realistic is the right word, but how naturally it progressed, I guess.
Yeah.
It feels very like it builds on itself really well throughout its admittedly short runtime. This movie's only like an hour 30 or something.
I do like
Mm-hmm.
how the romance, you can tell it's there when
Mm-hmm.
you get closer towards like the last half of the movie. But when the characters actually try to address it, they get interrupted. Like
Yeah.
spoiler, but this came out in 2009. You've probably seen it. When Prince Naveen tries to propose as a frog,
Naveen. Yeah.
and then he kind of gets like taken away, and you see Tiana as the frog looking back like she wishes he would have said something.
I having both of them kind of struggle to admit it for a very long time because near the start, once they're both first turned into frogs, they hate each other. You know, Prince Naveen turned her into a frog, and Prince Naveen wants to marry a rich princess. So it's kind of they're both just kind of there. But watching them fall in love with each other after learning more about each other and cooking together and eating together, it's a lot of cute little things like that
Yeah.
that make this movie as good as it is. And it makes it stand out amongst a very strong library of animated romances that Disney has.
And the whole, like, plot kind of changes throughout the movie. At the
Mhm.
beginning, they're trying to get to, what's her name? Oh, what's
The
the grandma's name?
oh
Mama
the
Odie?
yeah, Mama Odie.
Their goal is to try to get to her to be turned into humans again.
Yeah.
But as it progresses, their goal is just to be together. They don't care if they have to stay frogs, they just wanna be together.
Yeah, it's really cute. And
Mhm.
speaking on, I mean, those are just the main characters. The supporting cast in this film is really strong too.
Mhm.
I do not remember the name of the crocodile or the what are they called again? The
Louis, the
no, what,
firefly?
like the firefly. There you go.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't
Louis is the
remember.
crocodile and Ray is the firefly, the main one.
Yeah, I didn't remember their names, but they stand out as really interesting and fun characters. They
Mhm.
both bring their own kind of sense of quirk to the cast, and they're mainly like comedic relief characters. But when it comes into play, you really do care for both of these characters. You know, especially Louis. No,
Mhm.
uh,
Was it Louis? Louis?
the Firefly. Who's the Firefly?
Ray.
Ray. Yeah, there you go. Especially Ray. He has a very emotional moment
Mhm.
near the end of the film that actually prompted you to cry.
Yeah, that's what started it.
Yeah. Um, uh, the film does a good job at developing him not only as like a comic relief side character, but as a
Mhm.
legitimate character who has his own goals that you really want to see succeed.
And you
Especially
care
with
for him,
his,
and
yeah,
when that final scene or his final scene comes up, I mean, obviously it made me cry. You really do care for him, and seeing it's so upsetting.
yeah, and the star, him falling in love with a star.
And
It's
he
all
gets to shine right next to Evangeline.
Yeah, it's all really cute. It's
Yeah.
set up really well, and that doesn't stop him from being a very funny character. Uh, on the contrary, Louis the crocodile really doesn't have an arc like that. He's
No.
pretty much exclusively
Well, no, he
comic.
does actually, you're wrong.
Hmm?
Remember about the band? He gets to play with the band?
He gets to play with a band, but nothing results of it. He plays and then he just jumps off the thing at the end.
See, what he gets to play, but he would rather save his friends.
I guess. Yeah, I guess.
It's not as big as Ray's, but it's still definitely a
Well,
point
I think
there.
it's just because Louis didn't uh pass on,
Yeah, maybe.
which I don't think they should have done. It would have been kind of overkill.
Yeah, too many people dying.
Yeah, and
You could already see the way Ray was getting beat up multiple times in the movie.
yeah,
That
he's getting
he,
like
yeah,
demolished. Yeah,
he's already getting
and
close to the end of his
and
life.
he's a little animal too. It was kind of
Mhm.
expected in a way.
Yeah.
The animation for one. I know we were on characters, but I can't stop thinking about some of those scenes.
Mhm.
Especially, I don't remember what two scenes exactly. I think when they turn back into humans and she's the queen of the bayou or whatever.
Mhm. And
The
it like
way
shine.
the way
Mhm.
the way the light shines through the swamp or the bayou,
Mm.
it looks so beautiful. I have no idea how they
Yeah,
managed to 2D animate it like that because it looks so almost angelic. And
absolutely.
they do the same thing with Mama Odie's number as well.
Mhm.
Through the multicolored glass bottles hanging from the tree. It looks
Mhm.
really pretty. There's a lot of
This is a
really
beautiful movie.
Yeah, absolutely. It captures that New Orleans aesthetic and whatever
Mhm.
time era it is really well. Like with the
Just
steamboats
listening
and
yeah.
yeah,
Just listening to the jazz in this movie, it's so good. You can, like, groove along with it, and the main numbers are just as good. One scene that does stand out to me is when she's singing with her mom in the restaurant that she had just purchased, but it's, like, old and run down, but she's
yeah.
imagining it like this big thing that her and her dad talks about.
With
It's
that
so
stylized
beautiful.
2D animation,
Mhm.
like the card that she has,
Mhm.
or the ripped out magazine page or
It's,
whatever it
like,
was.
cartoony, kind of.
Yeah, it looks really stylized and simplistic and and just it's a nice change in the animation.
Mhm.
The animation never really stays consistent to its style. It always makes sure to try and break it up a little, like
Mhm.
with the main bad guy's voodoo world. All
Mhm.
those characters are animated really differently, and he once the musical number starts looks different. The
Yeah, he
movie
does.
the movie does have an almost scary flair to it as well,
Oh yeah,
with
it's
all the
spooky.
voodoo, with all the voodoo magic and stuff. Seeing what are literally demons go from like voodoo hell to go and attack the main cast is
Mhm.
genuinely frightening, and having them be shadow monsters is a very scary and interesting idea. Uh, a-
Watching this
and
as
it,
a kid, it's definitely freaked me out a little.
oh, absolutely, this movie would scare me to death. And watching the main guy or the main bad guy just die at the end of the movie is
Mhm.
like kind of crazy. They just kill him. They just
Yeah.
send him to voodoo hell because he didn't fulfill his deal or whatever.
Mhm.
I think it's really great.
I was gonna ask you
Um,
about Dr. Fossilier. That's the name, Dr. Fossilier.
the voodoo guy.
Yep.
Yeah, what
I
about
think
him?
he's such a cool character. Even though he's a
Mm-hmm.
villain, you can still like him. He's just really cool looking. I have a
I love it.
friend.
Yeah, his design. Yeah,
I have a friend who actually like played him and auditioned for him
and on a play.
as a play, yeah, and
Wow,
she did a great job with it.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
I really like, especially he's animated differently from everyone else too.
Yeah,
His like whole body is noticeably skinnier and like
he's
lankier than
lanky.
everyone else's. Yeah, and he has like an almost rubber hose like animation style to him, where
Yeah.
he's stretching farther than he really should be able to, and he's
Mhm.
like just like bouncing around. It looks so cool, and him being unique in that sense makes him almost scarier
Yeah.
than
Mhm.
he normally would be.
What'd you think about the friend? What's her name?
Our
Sorry.
friend. Oh,
The blonde
the
girl.
yeah. I remember her name. I can't remember it either. The
Charlotte.
pink dress. Charlotte, yeah, there you go. She is a good she's like what the whole movie is riding on.
Mhm.
You know,
She's like the
her
she
hand in
causes
marriage.
everything.
Yeah, her hand in marriage is ultimately what the whole film is built on. You
Mhm.
know, whoever marries her first, and if she marries the fake Prince Nazim, it
Naveen.
it's yeah, whatever, same thing. I'm thinking of a Skyrim character right now, okay?
Mm,
Uh
loser.
yeah, whatever. She's animated. I mean, well, she's not animated any different, but her whole character, it's very like she's very self-aware, which is nice. You know, she knows that she's like a rich kind of
Mhm.
like trashy queen prince or whatever you'd call her.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it's funny, and most of her dialogue and her behavior and the way she reacts to the environment, I think it's all really just like almost slapsticky,
Yeah.
and I think it works really well for the film.
Especially with the contrast, because Tiana is nothing like her. She's on the opposite side of the spectrum. It
Yeah,
makes them good friends.
they're complete opposites, and seeing Tiana work like 3 jobs, like
Mhm.
20 hours a day, and then going to what's her name, Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Yeah, and then going to Charlotte and seeing her be like, oh well, I'm just gonna buy like a billion of these
And she's using
the
all her dad's
pastries.
money. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
beignets.
yeah, the beignets. I think it's a really cute dynamic that they have together.
Mhm.
I can't help but kind of watch it and just smile
Mhm.
because they're polar opposites, like socially, personality wise,
Even physically.
economically, and physically. Yeah,
Mhm.
they're just very different, but they're still friends, and I think it's a very important thing to show in movies, especially for kids, that
Mhm.
no matter how you look, you can be friends with anyone. You know?
It's very endearing when I watch
Yeah,
it.
in a good way, endearing in a good
Yes.
way.
Of course, endearing is always a good thing.
Sometimes it's a bad thing.
Not for me,
Well, it can be used in a negative connotation, though.
I guess. Anything
I
else
don't
about this one?
have anything else to say. I think it captures the New Orleans thing really well.
Mhm.
I love that whole like area
Yeah.
down in America, it looks great.
Mhm.
And the celebration of the jazz and the voodoo like mythology, it feels very very thought out, I
Oh yeah.
guess.
Hmm.
And I know for a fact that when I read my review, it's going to directly conflict with that. But I'm saying that now.
Before
I
you
don't
read
have.
your review,
Yeah.
I gave this movie a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I gave this
It's
movie. Oh, what? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's definitely not like logically a 10. I just love this movie. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like a critical rating. I just, I really
It's
love
just
this
a
movie, so I
movie.
give it a 10.
It's just a movie you love.
Hmm.
It's just like that Curious George movie.
Yeah.
There's this Curious George movie that I watched when I was a very young child. It's animated like the books, and it looks so great. And I watched it recently, and I still love it.
Hmm.
I can remember that whole movie basically beat for beat.
Hmm.
Anyway, to close off our Princess and the Frog section, I will read my review. I wrote, and I quote, "Having not seen a Disney movie in so long, I almost forgot what to expect. I was almost unsure what to expect. It was almost a little disappointing. It feels like the rich culture and history is only explored to a surface level, with the southern vernacular and general culture feeling like little more than a punchline for a character to just yell out. Otherwise, the movie's pretty good. The more traditional 2D animation works in the film's advantage, giving it that rubbery, vibrant style. Everything visually, especially voodoo related, stood out as being visually just insane. The characters were really sweet, and the character development from the main two was really good. As expected, it was those same overarching messages like working hard and being you no matter what. Sort of connected with me. Emotionally dense. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
We're doing pretty good on my recommended movies so far. 2 sevens.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Could be a lot worse.
I was expecting worse for this week.
Well, you made me watch good movies.
I'm glad
So,
you enjoyed them.
Yeah. Now this next movie, I think we're gonna. I think
forgot what the next one was until I looked at it.
I think we're gonna have very different opinions on this next movie.
Do you want to lead
Wait.
us into it?
Yeah, sure. I'll lead us into it. So on the 20th, which is the next day, Tuesday, I want to say. Okay. Here's the thing. I watched this movie, and then Zoe watched it a day after that.
Yeah. No, remember? We were watching it on the phone, and then I just fell asleep.
And then you fell asleep, and then woke up at the last, like literally the second the credits started rolling. You have a superpower for that. It's really impressive.
Well, the name of the movie is...
Yeah, it was called Prozac Nation.
Guys, I'm on Prozac.
Yeah, for reference, Zoe is a Prozac Nation subscriber.
Oh yeah, I love Prozac. I found this movie because I was watching a movie about Zoloft, which I used to be on, and it was horrible. The movie
Zoloft Nation?
No, I don't remember what it was called. It wasn't like related to Zoloft, but they talked about Zoloft in it.
The character was just on it.
Yeah. And at that point, I had already been switched to Prozac. So I searched Prozac on Letterboxd, and this came up, and I saved it, and I've been waiting to watch it.
And it has pretty high reviews on Letterboxd, too.
It has an average of a 6.
Wait, is it just a flat 3?
No, it's just 3.3.
Oh.
So it's almost a 7.
It has a lot of 10 out of 10s, though. The ratings, like, really favor the 10, I want to say.
There's 3,000 10 stars.
Well, yeah, not to get caught up in the numbers.
Yeah.
What'd you think about Prozac Nation?
Guys, what's the girl's name? Elizabeth?
The actress?
Liz? Literally me, guys. Okay, but I am less crazy. I'm a little less crazy than her.
Me when I lie.
No, we both know that's true. I'm not that bad, okay?
Me when I lie.
We do have a lot of similar thoughts. I would also like to be a writer, so there's even that aspect. I'm not going to Harvard.
Lock Zoe up.
Cut that out.
No, I'm just kidding. Keep Zoe not locked up. Can you hear the ice cream truck?
No, not at all.
You can't hear that?
No, your mic is
Oh,
your mic cuts out all background noise.
I know, it's so loud. It's like
You're
right
good.
outside my house right now. Sorry, back to Prozac Nation. Yeah.
The cast on this is like shockingly phenomenal. When you look into all the different roles, this cast is really great. I don't want to talk about this too much, but the main girl plays the original Wednesday Addams. The main guy is in American Pie. He's the main guy in American Pie. And then her therapist is Jeffrey Dahmer's mom in that horrible movie with Ross Lynch.
Wait, the movie? I thought it was a miniseries.
No, this is a different one. It's an older one. And then her friend is in Shutter Island, Manchester by the Sea, Venom, The Greatest Showman. She's just in a lot of stuff. It's a great cast.
Yeah, the cast is pretty stacked, but now we are coming at this movie from very different perspectives.
Oh yeah.
So first of all, I'm a man. I am not on Prozac, and I mean I'm almost at freshman to college age, but I'm still a little bit off. But mainly, I'm not mentally ill. That's really the biggest distinction between.
I mean...
Yeah, whatever. Autism is a superpower. Okay, my doctor told me. Okay, my doctor told me. That's really where our biggest divergent point is.
Yeah.
I am not on Prozac, and I do not have any underlying or overlying mental issues or mental deficiencies or whatever you want to call it.
And you're not an overthinker like me and Elizabeth.
Liz, yeah. Liz. We're very different people comparatively. So I think the reason I didn't, well, I already kind of said it. The reason I didn't connect to Prozac Nation as much as I probably should have was because I just can't relate with most of this. You know, obviously I understand what it's like to feel kind of unwanted and to feel generally down and to feel like, you know, massive mood swings. 1 minute everything's up and the next minute everything feels like you might as well be homeless at that point. I know what it feels like. I wouldn't say I'm incredibly versed in it, but I'd say I know what it feels like. But Prozac Nation takes it so far to a, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but to a pretty realistic extent.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
You just mentioned this and I read it in my notes. The realistic part. I don't know if it's just a different brand of Prozac or like a different main supplier.
Strain?
Yeah, no, not different strain. But the pill she takes is like split in half yellow and green. And it's like pretty big.
I think Prozac is different. Yeah, it's just white, right?
Yeah, it's just like a white tablet.
Like chalk pill.
Yeah, a tablet.
Yeah, I want to say Prozac was different back then.
It was 2001.
And you started taking Prozac when? 2021?
Like a year ago.
Yeah, see, it's been like 20 years since then. It's 20 plus years. They changed things a lot. Anyway, so my biggest complaint, and this is going to sound really like mean-spirited and horrible, but one of my biggest problems with this movie is how just unlikable the protagonist is. Elizabeth is, and a lot of the film, Elizabeth is just a straight up annoying, unlikable character.
She's a bitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
She is.
She's very hard to sympathize with.
I get it, guys.
And each time she messes up, her excuse is, you know I'm not well, kind of thing. Or she just says sorry a lot. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's very hard to change the way you act when you're literally mentally ill. But I don't know, it's just like annoying. It was hard to watch some of those scenes, just knowing she's so mentally deluded and destroyed. It's tough. It's very tough on a person with no mental illnesses. I just can't relate almost at all. Especially how she treats her boyfriend, who I'm forgetting the name of.
Rafe.
Yeah, Rafe, there you go. Being the boyfriend of someone who's also on Prozac, it certainly put my life into perspective from the person on Prozac.
Mhm.
I now understand how certain things I do may or may not be a little annoying, and things that someone that may or may not be named Steph slash Zoe slash
Jenny.
whatever, yeah, slash Jenny, how they actually view me. It was an insight. If
Mhm.
you aren't mentally ill or on Prozac, you can watch Prozac Nation as almost, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong again,
Mhm.
but it acts as a very good window
Yeah,
into how
it's like mhm.
into
You're like
how
seeing how I think of things and how my
yeah,
brain processes different
and
stuff.
how Prozac has really affected you.
Well, not just
Or
Prozac, but like my mental
yeah,
state.
yeah, just yeah, mental state. There you go. What do you have to say? You're the mentally ill one. You should be talking more.
Well, I mean, I just want to hear what you were gonna say, but I do really like the poetry kind of writing feel to this
Mm,
movie.
there's a lot
Um,
of voiceover. Yeah.
yeah, the voiceovers, it always
It,
just felt like she was reading off poetry, and she's a writer too, so it kind of fits. Um,
yeah, it like makes sense
mhm.
in like the story for her to be talking to herself.
Yeah. Uh, there's a lot of scenes that I have here, like when she's just being mean to her mom and then she apologizes, but then she's mean again. It's kind of that out of control feeling that you get as a person like who has those mental health issues but hasn't yet addressed them,
Hmm.
hasn't like dealt with them yet.
How's that for
Um,
you?
well, I mean, I'm on Prozac now, so I'm fine. But I definitely used to be a really evil person. The
Right.
crazy mood swings, and especially being like evil to her mom, I experienced the same exact thing.
Hmm.
Um, I wrote down here the knowing your behavior is unwarranted, but you can't really change it. Is
Right. That's a big part of it.
yeah, like you know you're acting shitty, but you just can't help it. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about it.
There are a lot of moments where, like, after she knows like what she did was wrong, but she just can't really do anything
It's
about
not
it.
like she can
Just stop
change it in the
herself.
future. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
She
a lot
even
more complicated than
she
that.
does something, she apologizes, but then she
And
does it again right
yeah.
after.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, to I mean, not to change it. Feel free to jump back in whenever you
Mhm.
want. But from a more technical side, and it's hard to talk about movies like this from a technical side because they're so obviously focused on the emotional like writing and storytelling.
Yeah.
But from a technical side, I think this movie's really average. Or no, it's not
Mhm.
average actually. I think it's actually good. I'd say it's nothing groundbreaking, but there are a lot of moments where you know the cinematographer knows what he's doing. Um,
Well, sorta. Like there's scenes where one that stands out to me is she's cleaning up the dinner table. She
mhm,
grabs these 2 plates on the table and she turns around and takes it to the sink. And then
yeah,
they go back to that scene and she's picking up the 2 same plates that she had already picked up. And I
that's what
caught that.
happens. That's what happens when you're mentally ill.
No,
You like
it's just
you move fake
filming.
plates. No, you move fake plates.
Right, okay.
There are a lot of little moments, just like interesting shots. Nothing like crazy or groundbreaking, but just things
Mhm.
where you could tell the cinematographer had like a clear concept that was relatively creative and he executed it pretty well.
Yeah.
The music, which surprisingly was on Instagram, like their music thing.
Mhm.
I have no idea why it's on there or who uploaded it, but whatever, sure. I think the music was pretty okay. A lot of it relies like music from that time setting. I
Yeah.
want to say it's early 2000s, right?
2001.
Yeah, early 2000s. Uh, the music is kind of annoying at times,
Mhm.
but I think it fits the time era pretty well. It was almost reminiscent of, and I know it's just because they're both set in Harvard, but it was almost reminiscent of The Social Network with Jesse Eisenberg, the Facebook story, the
Mhm.
David Fincher movie. Uh, yeah, I mean it's the film's solid technically
The
and acting
acting
wise.
at
Yeah,
times it's not great. Like you can tell she isn't great at
she's
fake
she
crying.
she's like hamming it up big time.
Yeah.
Like
I
no
mean,
one actually
it
cries like
feels
that.
it feels accurate, but she just can't get the tears out, which kind of disconnects me a bit.
Yeah, it's like you can tell like she's really trying, but at the end of the day, it's still a character on a page.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, and I had no idea this was a true story or that Prozac Nation was actually an article. And learning that at the end of the film actually makes you feel a lot more not invested, but like these things mattered a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Because
And
it's something that someone actually dealt with. It's a true story.
yeah, it doesn't feel as weightless as well, not that fake stories feel weightless, but you understand what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a bit heavier because you know it's real.
Yeah.
And to just go back to oh no, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
you go ahead. This is gonna be off topic.
And just to jump back to Rafe really quick, the way that guy is thrown around and tortured by Elizabeth, and then seeing how just like destroyed she is that he left her, it feels really like I don't know. It feels like you know what you're watching. No, not relatable.
Are you sure?
Relax. You know what you're watching is like really horrible, and from both sides it's horrible because Rafe is obviously going through things that you really shouldn't have to go through in a normal relationship, but at the same time, Rafe for a while was the only thing keeping like Elizabeth stable.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like keeping her from like killing herself or something, you know. She says that in a couple journal entries, you know, all I need is Rafe. Rafe would fix me right now.
Yep.
Blah blah blah. And so it's a weird sense of evil enjoyment, satisfaction, but also like, oh shit, what's gonna happen to Elizabeth after this? As soon as he breaks up with her, and the bits where she's like, "You want to hang out?" and he's like, you can tell he wants to say no, but he's like, "Yeah, I guess so." Like,
yeah, that's very relatable for you.
No, not to
me.
You shook your head. I thought something else was coming out of your mouth. What were you gonna say about your off-topic thing?
I was gonna say one scene or one bit that it makes me laugh, because me and you talk about this a lot, is the fact that Prozac makes it so you just can't cry. Like, I think they mentioned this in the movie, like, she just can't cry anymore. I was like, oh my god, this is not a just me thing. And that was like the big one that was like, whoa, this is really me.
I mean, I don't really have much else to say about Prozac Nation.
No, me neither.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say, it feels like we kind of rushed through it, but I have no idea how much time we actually spent on this movie. It's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, sure. Get an insight in some people's lives.
Yeah, it's an insight, and it's also just you don't really see movies like this anymore. It's like a character study on someone who's mentally ill but not mentally ill enough to get thrown in an asylum. You know, it's this weird in between where they're like functional enough to work, and when they have good days, they're really like successful, but those bad days are just hammering on them, you know. Anyway, what'd you give this movie, Zoe?
There was something I wanted to say, but I completely forgot. Oh, I was gonna say, if you do watch this movie and you do have mental health issues, one hard part to watch in this was self-harm. It is like
right, that does happen a couple times.
So just like beware of that. It's only at the beginning and the end of the movie, but definitely be cautious if you can't.
Yeah, TW self-harm. TW self-harm.
Bothered me a bit, but I got through. And I gave this movie a 7 out of 10.
Surprisingly low for the Literally Me movie. Anyway, to read my review, I wrote, and I quote, "Didn't know it was a true story, but honestly it sort of saves it. I know it sounds evil, but she's so whiny in this movie, and for a majority of the runtime is a totally unlikable protagonist. It's those little down moments that build your sympathy for her, and it's brilliant. It's shot subtly well, and even if the time era and everything based on it was really annoying, the setting of Harvard was really good. The characters were written very well. I only say written because they're literally real people. feeling lifelike because because they are real. The whole film works as a strong piece about mental health and parental pressure and a million other things. But I simply couldn't relate. A fine film nonetheless, and a stylish one at that. I gave Prozac Nation a 5 out of 10. All the mentally ill psychos can come to my house and kill me. And
I'll be
make
there
me
soon.
take Prozac. Make me take Prozac so I understand.
No, guys, don't do that. He wants Prozac.
It's true, I do want Prozac. I've asked Zoe for their Prozac like 1,000 times.
Yeah, never gonna happen. Anyways,
Yeah, what was the
You
next
did
movie we
mention-
watched?
you mentioned Jesse Eisenberg in that last little talk we had,
In the Social
and-
Network, yeah.
and he is actually in our next movie, our second to last movie, which we both watched together on Thursday, August 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
We watched Adventureland.
Yeah, Adventureland. So, how in the world did you hear about Adventureland, Zoe?
Okay. I love Kristen Stewart. Obviously, as a queer person, she's like awesome.
She's gay?
Yeah, she's a lesbian. You know this.
What the heck?
Okay, guys, he's playing it like you don't know.
Ew.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Keep going, sorry.
Well, I was looking through her filmography, which is how
Mhm.
I'm realizing I find a lot of movies that way.
You like actors and you want to watch more movies with that actor. It makes sense.
Yeah, and this one kind of caught my eye. I had it saved for a while, and I needed like a random movie to put on this list. So I clicked on this one, and the rating was not too high, but people I follow really liked it. Like most of them gave it a 10 or an 8. Those are the two ratings. So I was like, yeah, we'll try this out. We know the main actors and even one of the side characters, unfortunately.
Yeah, I sure know him.
So let's give it a watch. Since we mentioned him, let's talk about Ryan Reynolds.
Okay, so Ryan Reynolds is actually the last person I want to be talking about right now. I think he is
Can you
perhaps
hear
the
this?
worst. Lightly. Is that what's his name again?
Jesse.
Is that Jesse?
falling on the couch scratcher right now next to me. Sorry.
Is he making a mess?
No, you just did a light scratch.
That blasted
Anyways.
Jeff. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is perhaps the worst actor of all time. He continues to surprise me with his consistently low quality and lazy acting, especially in this movie. He has a very minimal role, but he still manages to underperform in each scene. He plays the same mellowed out guy who doesn't really care in literally every single scene, even though there definitely should be moments where he's angry
Yeah.
or reacting a bit more. And I know we're automatically focusing on this random side character, but
But his whole part of the movie is to cause drama. So you automatically hate him for ruining everything. Even though
Yeah.
he's not directly doing it, he is like the thing that's attracting
the mess.
yeah, he's attracting
Yeah.
them, which is causing so much drama.
Who's Kristen Stewart, by the way.
Yes.
So to talk more broadly about Adventureland, this movie feels really I don't know if this is the right word, but it feels, not to me, but it feels very personal.
Sure.
Adventureland feels like a very like a real experience almost. You're working, or I mean Jesse Eisenberg, who is you in this situation. You're working at this crappy amusement park in this town you just moved into. You are working with
Do
all
they-
these people that
Do they say
Yeah,
that they just moved in?
remember they're low on money because the father got moved into another department or whatever.
But they didn't move there.
Yeah, they did. They're in a different place at the start of the movie. It's like a different house. They're in like a really
Really?
nice place, and then they go to the small shitty house that they get.
I must have not been focusing on that bit.
Whether they moved or not,
Mhm.
you're working in a place with people you don't know. It's not a job you even particularly want.
Mhm.
You got the job, but it's not the area of the job you wanted to work. Jesse Eisenberg wants to work in rides, and he's working in games. and at the start you're just kind of like, let me just get my shifts over with, get my money and
Mhm.
leave, and then eventually you end up building good like relationships with these
Mhm.
people who you thought originally were just like country hicks basically.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice personal story, and I think a lot of that is the setting of Adventureland.
Mhm.
Do you know what state Adventureland takes place in?
I can't remember. It feels like a Tennessee kind of area.
Sure. We'll say are there trees in Tennessee?
Babe.
I don't know where Tennessee is on the map. I don't know.
Um, it's like in the middle.
Like directly in the center of the United States?
No, actually, no. It's like eastern. It's like
Isn't it like
it's near
up a
like
little?
the Carolinas.
It's that far?
Yeah.
There are no trees down there. No way. Well, okay, anyway. Oh, I guess they're pretty close to New York. He takes a bus to New York. So I guess they must be somewhere over there.
Okay, I'm googling this. Where
You need
is
to
it
look this up.
happening?
You need to look this up because I have no idea where anything is in this country. But anyway, when's it?
Oh.
It feels like it's set. Where's it set in? It's set in like autumn, like time frame wise. It feels like
no,
set.
it's summer,
It looks like fall though.
but it's a summer job, and they're in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh specifically.
You were way off. I knew it was Pennsylvania.
But when I like am looking, when I'm googling this, it comes up as
Pennsylvania.
Iowa. So maybe they filmed in
Pennsylvania.
Iowa.
They probably filmed in Iowa, but it takes place in Pennsylvania.
Sure. I was
Listen-
not that far off, dude.
Well, yeah, you were far off. So
Let's see. I'm looking at a United States of America map.
oh my god,
What
guys,
are they? Where is
they're
it?
about to be so wrong. It takes place in Pennsylvania, and you thought it was Tennessee.
Where's Tennessee? Where's? Okay, there's like 2 states between them.
That's a big distance. That's here to like Utah.
Which is not that far away.
But like, look at them like geographically. It snows in Utah. Do you know how much snow
It
we get?
snows in
we get a
Northern
lot of snow in
California.
California. Yeah, I know, but this chunk of California that we may or may
You
not
doxed
reside
me?
in. I doxed both of us. It's fine. Anyway, we're not talking about the fucking movie. We're here to talk about Adventureland. Okay. Adventureland setting. Right. Pennsylvania, fucking Idaho, Newark, wherever it takes place. in.
Newark.
Yeah, it's a. The setting feels very personal. It feels very warm, but in a way, it feels very foreign. It's a weird comparison to draw, but it reminded me a lot of We're All Going to the World's Fair, like
Sure.
setting wise. That same like kind of like cushioned child who's just kind of doing whatever to kill their time, who doesn't really want to pursue anything. You know, Jesse Eisenberg wants to go get his doctorate at his Ivy League school, whatever he wants to do, but he's doing the summer job because he needs the money. And yeah, journalism, there you go. And seeing this guy who's very well educated interact with these people who are not very well educated, and not seeing him dumb himself down, but seeing him like remember how to be a human in a way. Jesse Eisenberg's acting is actually a huge part of this. The way he acts in this movie, the way he talks with his like, oh, I didn't know we were doing that, kind of like the way his mannerisms and stuff. I think he fits the character perfectly.
Absolutely.
More than anyone else really could. It's just who Jesse Eisenberg is. What stood out to you in Adventureland?
I mean, we have to state the obvious. This movie is hilarious. We were both giggling the whole time. I mean, from the baby joints, as they describe it, to just the pillow over the boner.
Oh yeah.
You thought that was hilarious.
I thought it was very funny.
I had a fantastic time, as I say in the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah. There are a lot of great little moments, and I mean, I struggle to say more than how personal the film feels. It feels like it feels like an experience that you'll never see any of these people again. Maybe you'll see one of them again. I think a huge point of the movie is how fleeting summers are, especially if you're working during them. You know, you meet these people, and for a couple months they're the most important people in your life, and then before you know it, it's gone.
Mhm.
And
someone,
Mhm.
as someone who actually has had a job,
Yeah,
it's
whatever.
it's realistic. Like, I connected to those people,
Mhm.
and I looked forward to seeing them every day, even though I dreaded it at the beginning.
And now
And
you'll never see any of them again, probably.
no, I probably won't.
Yeah, and it acts as not only a good representation of a student's summer and like their life during the summer, but
Mhm.
a representation of life as a whole.
Mhm.
You know, no matter what, everything is gonna change one day. The people that you think you'll spend the rest of your life with, you might never see again. And I think that's the reason the film is so impactful, and the characters too. Everyone's written really well.
Absolutely.
Uh, I don't really have much else to say. The
No,
soundtrack
me.
the soundtrack was like an iPod playlist, but I think it
Yeah,
fit pretty well with the movie.
I was singing along to most of the songs.
Yeah, you're such a dork. We
Whatever.
did watch this movie on call, and Zoe did not fall asleep, thankfully.
No, I like this one a lot.
Yeah, Zoe was quite
I
the fan.
I gave it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10, very high. I
Mhm.
gave it an 8. And to close off Adventureland, I will read my book review. And I quote, I think something about small town stories just really get to me. Not that I live in a particularly small town, but in films like this especially, I can't help but imagine myself as Jesse Eisenberg. The almost extra heavy importance put behind this romance, combined with the setting and starring actor, made me
Mhm.
really love this one. The crappy local fare makes for a brilliant setting, and the constant assault of 80s bands. Wait, no, what did I write? I said 80s bangs. Sure. And general late 90s early 2000s culture makes for a wonderful setting. For wonderful set dressing. Jesse Eisenberg actually plays this young, hopeless romantic role really well, and watching that relationship blossom between him and Stewart was lovely, and so incredible. I think the setting sorta outstays its welcome, and the characters make some obnoxiously stupid decisions, but all's fair in summer love. And I loved it. Yeah, that's my 8 out of 10. Uh, I think it's kind of funny to call Christian Stewart Stewart. When Jesse Eisenberg falls in love with Stewart, it was really cute. And now for the final movie of the video, which I watched in theaters and
In
Zoe did not.
3D.
In 3D, no less. Zoe, what was the final movie this week?
Final movie. It's a classic, lovable Coraline.
Yeah. So, Coraline. This is by no means my first viewing of Coraline. I think at this point I've seen the movie 4 times, maybe 5. Coraline is a very personal movie to me.
Me too.
Yeah, Coraline's the same thing to both of us. It's a very personal, important movie to us. And I think this time I could really appreciate Coraline more. Now, to establish why Coraline is so personal to me. Coraline, my mom ended up renting Coraline for us and putting it on when I was a very young child. At an age where I probably shouldn't have been watching that. I think I remember crying to this movie. It was so scary. And from the cover, I'm sure it just looks like a standard animated movie for little babies. But where Coraline really finds success is in its horror.
Mhm.
It's almost Shakespearean horror, or
Yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe horror, whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
He doesn't know either of those people, guys.
I knew who both of those people are.
Name one Edgar Allan Poe book.
Telltale Heart.
What the fuck? You made that up.
Oh yeah. Anyway. Why do you like Coraline so much, Zoe?
Well, I watched it. I don't even remember when. But I love cats. I love horror. I look like Coraline quite a bit.
Yes.
Um,
You're identical.
well, not identical. I think it's just
Well, no blue hair, but yeah.
I had blue hair when I watched this, I think. You knew that, don't I, Shaq?
Yeah, I did know that. I did a little soy face.
It's just one of those movies that I fell in love with on the first watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Coraline is a very easy to digest movie, I guess you'd call it.
Mhm.
Especially as someone who's watched it multiple times. And just to say it now, the 3D viewing wasn't anything crazy to me. There are moments in that film that really feel like they were made for 3D back in 2008 or whenever it was.
2009.
I want to say it was 8.
I'm looking at it right now.
Okay. You know more than me. A lot of the moments in there, someone will grab something real close to the camera, or they'll get real close for whatever reason, and it fits the 3D really well. I was afraid it would feel like a completely worthless gimmick, but it feels very very like just part of it, you know? And
Purposeful.
yeah, purposeful. There you go. Now, Coraline's main selling point is Coraline, and this was
Mhm.
Leica Studios' first stop motion movie, and just first movie in general. And this Coraline is perhaps the most important stop motion animated film ever.
Mhm.
I don't know if you could say one that's impacted the genre more than this one has. And I'm talking everything. I'm talking the way they tell stories, character design, the technology that's used to make it.
Mhm.
Coraline, in simply being a stop motion animated film, is an achievement in filmmaking, because at the end of this film, there's a explanation on how stop motion is done and how this film specifically was made, and it really puts into perspective how almost unnecessarily complicated and difficult this filmmaking process is, but how hugely it pays off.
Mhm.
Coraline and stop motion in general looks great. And you can really tell in this movie that they put 155% effort into every single scene.
I think it's safe to say this is a lot of people's first stop motion, if not only stop motion movie they've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's made such an impact in film. It proved that stop motion can be really good.
I know I've definitely seen other stop motion films, but I don't
Mhm.
think I could name one off the top of my head.
I'm thinking of like Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Right, Wes Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
I
As
don't
well
know if
as
it
Isle of
counts.
Dogs.
Yeah, also Wes Anderson.
Mhm.
I don't know if it counts. There's this movie Loving Vincent that was hand painted. Each frame was hand painted. I think that counts. Because you're just
It's stop
taking,
motion.
yeah, you're taking pictures of paintings and
Yeah.
scrolling it along. Yeah. So, back to Coraline.
Mhm.
The reason it affected me so much more in the screening is I read a review from someone I respect a lot on Letterboxd, who I won't say, but his name or their name starts with an O.
We love you, Owen.
Yeah, we love you, Owen. Much love, Owen. I read their review, and he pointed out the child neglect aspect of the film. Coraline, at its core, is a movie about a child wanting to escape. Coraline moves to a new house far away from where she's from. She is a complete stranger there. Her friends aren't there. Her parents are busy working pretty much the whole movie.
It's totally different, just even from like the rainy aspect. I'm pretty sure they came from like a sunny state. So
no,
being in
they come from a place with snow.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, snow, it was more solid rather than like how muddy everything was here.
Yeah, it's just like it's different. It's different everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Coraline is a movie about a human's natural defense mechanism, and kind of shutting off from everything when you don't know anything, and just wanting to keep knowing what you know.
Right.
You know, and in this other world, she goes to a idealized world where everything's perfect and tailor-made for her. She has her delicious dinner every night, and her loving parents that only focus on her. Her neighbors are still crazy, but in a fun way. It feels
Her
very...
cat can talk to her.
Well, it's not
And
hers. The cat can talk to her.
the cat can talk to her, and the
Yeah.
boy she doesn't like can't talk.
Yeah. And it summarizes just the way that the human mind defends itself when it's afraid. Coraline, the whole movie, whether she shows it or not, is afraid. She's
Right.
afraid of where she's living now, even if it's projected as just being bored or uninterested. She's afraid of school starting up. She's afraid of what's happening in the other world, and she's afraid of what's happening to her parents now. It's so important.
And as someone who does have a fear of change, or the unknown, this is hugely relatable.
Yeah.
Especially just moving. I just moved to a new city, and it's definitely weird. Lived in one place my whole life and just went somewhere new suddenly.
Coraline is a classic because teenagers, mainly women, no problem with that, love the more horror and fantastical aspects of the film, and they love the character who is Coraline. She is, the title character, and she's excellent in this movie. She's written with so much gumption and so much confidence, and she feels kind of conniving and cunning, and you can't help but root for her when she's fighting a demon, basically, from stealing her soul. You know, you can't help but like it.
Yeah.
And man, I love this movie.
To go back on the parental
Yeah.
aspect that Owen kind of made you think about, it's also how, unfortunately, most children are like, oh, I wish I had a different family.
Yeah.
This is like her fantasy. She wished she had that family.
Yeah, her dad plays piano, and her mom loves gardening, and they're always
they
cooking
make good
for
food.
her. Yeah. They make turkey and cakes and mango milkshakes for her. You know, it's all these little moments that, in a way, it kind of zooms you out from everything, and
puts you in perspective.
Yeah, it gives you perspective on how it's like from an outsider's perspective. You know, there are scenes in this movie where Coraline's real mom is very clearly like sorry. Yeah. She's like, I know things aren't how you want them right now, and we're working through it, but we just have to like finish this. And Coraline, in her upset state, is just like, whatever. Sure, I'm sure we will.
She doesn't realize like the family sacrifices and
how
she's being ungrateful.
Yeah. This video is already too long for being 5 movies.
Yeah.
But I love Coraline. I think it's impacted me in more ways than I can ever really know. I read the book. I actually read the book.
Shocking.
Like, yeah, I know. Like a couple of years ago, a lot of years ago, I think it was in like 8th grade or something. I remember really liking the book, and I actually think I'll reread it after watching the movie, because I just want to see where this awesome story came from. Henry Selick is an outstanding stop motion director, and I hope Tim Burton dies. Do you have anything else to say?
We didn't talk about the score at all.
Yeah, Coraline's score, especially with the vocal bits. There's a lot of like, I guess you'd call it scatting. Not scatting exactly, but just like non like verbal, I guess, just like,
yeah, it's kind of just sounds.
Yeah. A lot of like vocal sounds. I think it fits really well with the film's like premise, and it actually kind of adds in some horror to the film and just the way everything sounds.
I love how recognizable it is. Like, just earlier today, you were whistling one of the songs, and I instantly knew what it was. It was Exploration, the main one that
Yeah.
everybody knows. It's a great song.
That song has been branded onto my brain. I'm gonna
I
remember that.
I find myself putting that song on when I'm kind of just like
Absolutely.
sitting around my room.
Yeah, I mean it's a tune that's so recognizable and that fits so well with the film that it's hard not to just kind of, and it's catchy too.
Right.
And whenever you're walking around somewhere, you might even find it playing in your head.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like, I'm literally Coraline right now.
Especially like an unknown location,
Anywhere, yeah.
and you're alone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're just kind of wandering.
Mm-hmm.
The film
That is
captures
another
that.
song called. There's another song called "Wandering" in this movie.
The film feels very personal to the child's experience, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I mean, I can't speak to it because I haven't moved. But if I was younger, I'm sure it would feel exactly like that, just to walk around a house I've never been in.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if I don't have
how it feels.
Especially if I don't have a parent kind of guiding me along.
I actually did play the song when we were house searching because of my AirPods. It felt really nice. It felt pretty awesome. Yeah. Especially this house, there's like a little hidden door under the stairs, like you've seen. I just
be careful.
And I walked in here and I had that song playing. Yeah.
If you see any rat crap, don't go in there.
I'll keep an eye out.
I don't have anything else to say though, and I think this video is gonna come out to almost an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
Then we started.
We love these movies.
Ooh, that hurts. Okay.
I think it's like I can check right now where we're at.
Ow.
Oh, we're at an hour. Just says an hour.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's actually just an hour, that's not so bad. Anyway, to stop boring our poor viewers with the talk of lengths and editing times, I'm going to read my review.
Mm-hmm.
My personal love for Coraline comes from what I think might be a slightly different origin than many others. I watched this film when I was incredibly young, and as a result, was lightly traumatized by mainly the other mother. That slight... What the hell did I write? That slight trauma would turn into a fear/love/respect/craving for stop-motion animation. Seeing the almost unreal amount of effort that went into each individual scene is breathtaking, and it really makes me appreciate stop-motion animation. It's a brilliant story about child neglect and how harmful it is to both children and to the parents. In a way, it made me feel like I neglect and take for granted a lot of very special things in people. Mm-hmm. Coraline, through her journey, brought out my love for my father, mother, brothers, and my lovely Zoe. I gave Coraline a 10 out of 10.
I also gave it a 10.
Well, that's it, folks. I don't even have an outro. You know what, Zoe? You should do the outro this time.
I'm so tired.
Yeah, so Zoe was actually snoring through most of it. I'm just gonna edit it out in post. Zoe was snoring through a lot of me talking.
No, I've just been laying. I've been laying down like this whole episode.
It's like what is it, like 2 or 3 o'clock in Bulgaria right now?
No, it's actually almost 8 p.m.
Yeah, 8 p.m. in Bulgaria. Yeah, it's pretty
late.
And
I've already taken 2 naps today. Guys, I have more mental issues than just the ones that stop.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you take Prozac. You nap twice a day and then sleep 16 hours. Anyway, right. That's the end of the video. It's as unscripted as it always is. Go ahead.
Sorry for some of the laughing breaks that we had.
I think it's very lovely. I love having fun recording this.
Mm-hmm.
I love it not feeling like a thing we have to do and a thing that we choose to do.
Right.
It helps to break up the uniformity too. But again, I don't have anything else to say. Watch all these movies. These are all good ones. And I mean, I picked out one, but otherwise, it was all Zoe.
Yes, and maybe we'll do this again.
Yeah, I think we very much will. Anyway, with that all said and done, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I will see you in the theaters.
The theaters.
Please
Bye.
subscribe, please.
Bye.
Wait, I'm not even there to end it. Oops.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.